Hi guys, this is Man Culture on the Skids. We're a group of friends who love food and drink. Every episode features different dishes, beers, drinks, as well as all things Texas and guy culture, according to us.
Today we're at our favorite local watering hole, Underdog's Pub on Washington Avenue, 4212 Washington Avenue. And we are here at our local pub in our favorite corner. And today we're going to be drinking beer, featuring ranges of beer from a Kolsch to an IPA up to a stout, and maybe we'll throw in a cream ale or a Dunkelbock in there to kind of just give you different colors and different flavor profiles for these beers. Right here in front of us we have a Kolsch from City Acre. You can tell if you look at it, the color is you kind of see through it. These beers tend to be more well-rounded. There's not a big hop profile or malt profile to it. It's very well balanced. It's very easy to drink. It's like your gateway craft beer. So if you have a friend who drinks a Miller Lite, a Bud Light, what you're going to want to do is maybe introduce them to this style of beer, and it'll kind of get them into maybe the heavier, the hop forward, malt forward IPAs and pale ales. This is City Acre Kolsch. Alfredo, shall we?
Let's give it a try.
Cheers. Oh yeah, that's good.
It's nice.
It's crisp. It's balanced.
Yeah, it's very light, but has a good flavor. So that's what I look for in a lighter beer. Obviously, we like pretty full flavored, hoppy beers. But once in a while, on a nice day, you want to be outside, maybe at the beach. Like this would be a good drink for the beach, where it's full of flavor, but not too filling.
No, not at all.
Nice.
It's light. It's crisp. It's great. Again, it's an intro to craft beer. You got a friend who's on the ledge. He's like, oh, I don't know about these big beers. This is a good way to get them in and suck them into the world. So from here you can go on to like your blonde ales, which are like an American golden ale typically, or a pilsner, and it's a great intro to craft beer. It's
and
just
Hefeweizen.
And Hefeweizen, very easy to drink, and there. Cheers.
Cheers.
Our next beer is a Dunkelbock from Back Pew, and they're on the glass here. Back Pew Sederswil Dunkelbock. This is a Dunkel means German lager, dark beer. The flavor profile on this is going to be more of bready, sweet malt, raisin flavor. It is much darker, as you can see, than the last beer we had, that Kolsch. The flavor profile is tremendous. There's going to be a lot of malt forward here happening when you drink it. So here's to Back Pew Sederswil Dunkelbock. Cheers, Alfredo. Cheers. Oh, this is at 7.2%. So you don't want to take too many of these in before you realize you might be a little tipsy.
That's really good. So this reminds me of Shinerbach, actually, back in the day, which was the first craft beer I ever had back in the 90s, I guess.
Early 90s or mid 90s, back in college,
yeah.
When I could afford to spend a little bit more on beer. In college, we all drank Nanny Light and Busch Light, but as we started to get jobs, we started to spend a little bit more on Shinerbach.
And this really does taste like what Shinerbach was before it went into full production. It just had a different flavor than it does now. Now it's I'd say it's a little lighter than.
It's overproduced, I think. There's a lot of production in Shinerbach these days. These guys, Back Pew, are local, up north of Houston, around Conroe area. Very micro craft. A lot of quality control in their product. These guys are making great beer up north of Houston right now.
Big fan.
Big fan. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Our next beer is an IPA from Legal Draft. Smash and Grab is the name of the IPA, and it's an alcohol content of 6.2. A little less than the Sederswil. but this is looks and you can see there's golden color, amber a little bit, but there's a West Coast style IPA, and there's always that argument: West Coast IPAs versus East Coast IPAs. West Coast IPA is my favorite style. IPAs in general are my favorite style. West Coast, you know, if you want to divvy it up,
for both of us.
Yeah, I think
really gravitate to the IPA.
Got into IPAs about 10 years ago with Ska Brewing and their Modus Operandi, or Bear Republic's Racer 5 IPA. Racer 5 is a classic West Coast IPA, and I love that beer. What was yours, would you say, your intro?
I think, well, I used to go to the West Coast a lot for work. This was a while back, and I think the first thing I had was a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale that was very hop forward. It was the first thing that I ever drank that had a lot of hop compared to anything else I drank, right? And then after that, I think I started drinking the Southern Star Pine Belt.
Pine Belt, yeah.
You know, that was always like my favorite when it came out. And then local brewery, you know, Carbach, when they started out, their first beer was the Hopadillo. And I think that's still one of my, you know, go-to beers, where it's a pretty straightforward IPA, very balanced, very hoppy, yeah. I mean, and after that, it's just been IPA, you know, just searching for the next one,
for the next IPA. And when you're searching for the next IPA, often it will lead you to East Coast hazy style IPAs. My shirt is from Parish Brewing in Broussard, Louisiana, and they did this is a Ghost in the Machine, which is a double dry hop IPA.
Awesome.
It was good. I got a little tired of the East Coast hazy style IPAs, but an East Coast IPA versus a West Coast IPA, just your standard IPAs, East Coast tend to be citrusy, floral, and malt. There's a good balance to the East Coast IPAs. Your West Coast IPAs, they put the malt to the back of your flavor profile and just assault you with these hops that they're just right in your face, and that's what I like about them. And you can take these and you can do a double IPA. Buffalo Bayou Brewing and Carbach do great double IPAs. Carbach does a Rodeo Clown, and it's really good. They're higher in alcohol content, but the balance.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. The balance of the hops with the malt, the sweetness, and the bitterness of the hops, it's fantastic. More Cowbell from Buffalo Bayou is a great beer also. But here's to Legal Draft, Smash and Grab at 6.2. Alfredo? Cheers.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
That's delicious.
Very nice.
The hops are right up front, right at you.
Nice
and,
finish.
Yeah.
Nice finish.
Thanks.
And also too, you know, IPA. Everybody always asks, "What's an IPA?" Right? Or what does IPA stand for? The letters, right? It stands for India Pale Ale. And you know, this was just a style of beer when back when the you know, Europeans would go down to India to get spices and linens and all that stuff.
So the English had to send beer to the colonies in India, and they had to go around Africa, and they would just put it in these containers, and when they got it around to their colonies back in India and the Pacific, they were supposed to cut the beer to water down the ABV, but they were in such a rush to get to it, they just started drinking it right out of the.
Well, and it was also preserved.
Yeah.
You know, so it could make the trip.
Yeah.
So they
preserved. It was like 30 days. I think about 30 to 60 days to get around.
So they would extra hop it. Like
Yeah.
just throw as much hop in there as they could as a preservative. And then what ended up happening was this flavor profile, which is very, you know, just flavorful. Some of it's floral, just really good. And as you start to learn more about hops, which is, you know, gosh, you could have a dissertation about that stuff.
There are many different style of hops. We're about to go to our last beer, but the beer we had before that, IPA, is our favorite style of beer. That's my go-to beer.
For sure.
We will, whenever we're at a bar or, you know, going to the grocery store to pick up beer, that IPA is what we go for. We're moving up to a stout. This is an American stout. It's a flavored stout. It's from Saloon Door, which is south of Houston in Webster. This is a 11%, so you got to be real careful with this. It's Saloon Door Ridiculous AF. It's a peanut butter stout, and this is a really good. You can see the color. You can't even see through that. It's thick. It's rich. It's malty, along with the malts that are roasted. When that peanut butter flavor, you're gonna get some rich flavors, chocolate, peanut butter, roastiness. And I think I'm ready to take a little swig from here. Alfredo? Cheers. Cheers.
It's good. Smell that peanut.
Man, right when you go for that drink, your senses are overwhelmed with that peanut butter flavor and that roasted malt. This is fantastic. This is outstanding. This is not a beer you take lightly, folks. At 11%, you're not going to slam this like a Kolsch.
This is drinking wine.
This is
drinking red wine at home, watching a movie, taking it easy, enjoying it.
Man,
really taking your time with it.
That peanut butter is just all over the palate. It's awesome. This is a really good beer. Alfredo, I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it just has so many layers, right? Because you get that little bit of that coffee. You get some of that. You get some tartness.
Yeah, too. It's that hops. So there's some good hops in there too.
And then you get the peanut butter that just comes in at the end and it just kind of rounds everything out. It's really delicious.
So American stouts, when people say talk stouts or think of stouts, they think of Guinness stout. That is more of a European stout, and that sits at like 4.5%, which is kind of ridiculous to me. These American stouts, these
Guinness is like a light beer in the U.S.
Yeah,
the alcohol content.
These American stouts are very forward. They're taking advantage of the hops that we have here in the States and the malt, and they're just really doing some great things with it. My favorite thing that craft breweries are doing these days is they'll age their stouts in bourbon barrels or whiskey barrels. And there's, I think, the Chicago Goose Island had kind of started this. Bourbon County. And when you're doing a good thing, a lot of people start copying, and there's a lot of local breweries that are aging their stouts and the porters.
Carbach's got some good.
Carbach's got some great ones. Yeah, the Fun Series, the Hellfighter, but they'll age it in bourbon barrels, and when you put those stouts in there, they soak up the flavor profile from those barrels, from the whiskeys and the bourbons, and it even throws up. It becomes an imperial stout, which is basically a double or just more intense, but it's very boozy. Mm-hmm. But this is
yeah, some of them are like,
yeah.
I mean, it's literally like you're drinking booze.
Yeah, at 14%. Some of those guys will sit at 14 to 16% when they age it in those barrels.
And they cost their price point is higher.
The price point is going to be higher. You're going to pay for a 12 ounce for about maybe $9 to $12 for a 12 ounce bottle of one of those stouts. But this Saloon Door Ridiculous AF peanut butter stout, American stout, is outstanding. Delicious.
For sure. All right, folks. So this was Man Culture on the Skids, our beer episode.
Beer episode, folks.
Yeah. So like we said, we're gonna do different episodes: food, drink, beer, culture, Texas culture, guy culture, according to us, right? And we will start putting these out more often. Right now we're trying to do every 2 weeks, but hopefully soon we can do one a week. And so if you like it, please subscribe down there, that big red button down there, and we'll see you next time. Thanks,
Cheers, guys.